Hi, my name is John, and this is my good buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived the dark times of the 80s, lest we forget, people, of Packers football, and lived to talk about it. And Packers Blitz is always dedicated to the greatest fans in the NFL, Packer fans. Woo! So, Andy, how are you?
I am
Long
doing
time
great,
no
John.
see.
Yeah, it's been like 5, 6 weeks, something like that.
Mhm. Ugh.
I think the last we were last on middle of June. So,
Yeah, something like that. Ugh, it's just horrible waiting for football. Just drag it out now. So, yeah,
yeah, there pretty
I
much was
can't
absolutely nothing going on for about a month
yeah, no,
with the
yeah,
Packers at least. So, something
yeah,
big happened. So,
yeah,
that's
so
why we're back on.
that's why we're back on. So, Andy, why don't you take it away? Because I'm sure our fans missed us and they wanna hear what we have to say.
Yep. Yep, hopefully. Hopefully.
Are you
Uh
still listening, fans?
is everybody out there?
Anybody out
Anybody out
there?
there? It was hilarious,
Thursday,
John. It was
Thursday.
hilarious, John, because my son Zach, he listens to the podcast all the time. He's
Mhm,
like, "Well, you
mhm.
haven't done a podcast and blah 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 blah."
Yes,
And I'm
right,
like,
yeah,
"Yeah, we did one in June." Oh,
yeah,
you know. But the thing
yeah.
was, Nolan, my other son, brought it up. He's like, "Yeah, they did a podcast about a month ago." So,
Well, I get
but
that
yeah, it had been
w
a while. I mean,
what do you want us to talk about? That fricking Colin Cowherd is off his rocker again and fricking, Skip Bayless got fired from his job? Well, about fricking time. The guy's
what?
an idiot. Yeah.
I
You
didn't
didn't know
know
that?
that.
Yes,
No,
he got fired from his job undisputed with Shannon Sharp. He was
really.
mouthing off again. He's such an idiot. Ah, if you just listen to him for 1 minute, and we'll get out of the podcast. I just have to rant here a little bit, folks.
Go right ahead.
If you listen to Skip Bayless for just 1 minute, you literally wanna punch your TV because he's such an idiot, and the thing really backfired on him. So, if any of you out there have watched any professional wrestling in quotes, if you watched it at all, when it was WWF, now it's WWE, or you watched whatever you watch wrestling, they have a persona, right? Like when The Rock, well, Dwayne Johnson now, but when The Rock was, going up in his career, he had a persona. He would come out and he'd be the kind of big jerk and stuff, kind of, handsome guy, come out. But it was a persona and he could know how to turn it off. Skip Bayless never turned his persona off. He was the same guy on the air as he was off the air. And he's just said some things that were just okay, like, where you going with that, man? And I just he would just became, like, political, he became, like, defiant. He would just make stuff up half the time. He threw things out there that you were just like, "What are you talking about?" And I think Colin Cowherd will eventually hit that wall because eventually, as a sportscaster, you have to be factual, you have to be entertaining, but entertaining to a way that people can go like, "Oh," like, I like Dan Patrick, because he's kinda like he's in his well, really in his retirement years. He should have retired a few years ago, in my opinion, but he understands, like, "I'm in my retirement years. I don't have to sit here and act a certain way or talk a certain way. I can just go out and report the facts and give my opinion, right or wrong. I'm not here to get ratings, you know? Meh." And that's Skip Bayless. He just would just push it, push and push it. And they finally fired him. So, Shannon Sharp, I can't remember who he's with right now, but it doesn't really matter. It's on Fox and nobody watches it.
I
But there you
I have a
go.
problem I
So
have a problem understanding him though, when he
yeah,
speaks.
right. Yeah,
So
that too. That too.
so, yeah,
That
that's all I'm
too.
gonna say
That
about that.
that
So,
too.
he's
Yeah.
not my
No,
favorite.
no, no.
Um,
Y
I
you
really like
know,
Charles
guy
Barkley because he speaks his mind.
yeah.
Um he's not as pompous and
Right, exactly.
arrogant and as much of a
Right.
megalomaniac or whatever that
Yeah.
Skip Bayless is, but,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I will give Colin a little bit of credit from the
Oh,
standpoint he
boy.
does pivot, he does admit when he's wrong,
Mhm.
but he thinks he's right a lot too. But that's the problem with Skip Bayless, like, he
Yeah.
never thinks he's wrong, right? And then he doesn't
Right,
have
yeah,
anything to back himself up with. So it's like, seriously? It's like you have to prove your point, right?
right.
And yeah, so
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
that's not a big loss.
you gotta blend entertainment with facts. Now you listen to your local guy. So our local guy, our Wildy and Tausch, they're pretty good. They do a pretty good job of, trying to be neutral. Tausch a little bit, not as much, because he's a huge, he played for the Badgers and he played for the Packers,
Mhm.
won a Super Bowl with the Packers. So he's a little more biased towards being a homer, and you can't do that unless you have a show like ours, where we're no one's paying us hundreds and thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to make sure that we kinda keep a wide breath when we're talking about sports. So we can talk about Packers, and which we love doing, and say anything we want, and there's no one gonna fire us. There's no one gonna be like, "Okay, it's time to go," which I love, which is fun. So there you go. The shake
Yeah,
up the world.
Mark Tauscher got me into pickleball because he loves
Ah,
pickleball.
yes, I totally pickleball. I love it. Love it. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a rant, but I just had something to say. This kind of, it reintroduces the show and reintroduces us and how much we love the Packers and talking about the Packers. So I'll call it a rant. I don't think it's really that, but it's kind of just how I feel and I think how we feel. And
Mhm.
if I'm incorrect in that, John, just let me know.
I will.
So I know that many other podcasters do content targeted specifically toward the Packers football team and its wonderful fans. They may say that they love the Packers. Do they really love them?
Hmm.
They may call themselves fans, but are they really? Are they invested in every aspect of the team? Do they really care?
Mm,
On game day, when the Packers lose, does it feel like their beating hearts just got ripped from their chest? Does
mhm,
the Packers' loss make them grumpy until the next game?
mm.
Well, the answer in most cases is a resounding no.
Oh, okay, let's see why.
Only here on Packers Blitz will the fans hear honest and heartfelt opinions from true diehard Packer fans like John and me. We grew up in Wisconsin.
Mhm.
We have bled green and gold all of our lives.
Yes.
We have been fans for over 50 years,
Woo!
half a century, and we
Jesus.
still
Oh.
love the Green Bay Packers, even though
Mhm.
there were the dark times of
Of the
of the
'80s,
actually the late
'70s,
'70s
'80s,
to the '80s,
'80s.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
so and we still love them.
yeah,
We still
yeah,
love
yeah,
the Green Bay
yeah, yeah,
Packers.
yeah.
How about that, John?
That was
How's
excellent.
that?
So, you brought something up that I think is really interesting that I was reading the other day, I think on Sports Illustrated. And someone was saying, like, like, the fans for the Saints and the, Lions back in the day who would put the bags over their heads and be like, "Oh, we stole it and blah, 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 we suck." One thing was mentioned in that article is now that the Lions and the Saints are still a quality football team. I don't know about this year, but they were a quality football team for a while, had one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. He should be a Hall of Famer, and Drew Brees, we can argue that, but I think he should because he's a hell of a quarterback, just couldn't seem to, kind of one and done with a Super Bowl. I think he should have won more. But anyway, that begs me to a question is, do those fans who put bags over their heads are they allowed to be a fan of their team? I say no. What do you think, Andy?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, John.
Right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's also those fair weather fans too,
Yeah.
when their team starts winning again, "Oh, then we'll come back."
Then
So,
we'll jump on,
it's
right?
just like with the Milwaukee Brewers. They have never won a World Series. Now the Milwaukee Braves did, of course, but of course they moved.
But that's yeah.
The Milwaukee Brewers were the Seattle Pilots. And
Right.
they, I believe, came to Milwaukee in 1970. So we're
Mhm.
talking over 50 years of futility with that franchise as well. So,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of success for the Packers, some success for the Bucks here and there, but the Brewers, have
Yeah.
not won a World Series, so
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing, working there for 27 years as a
Right.
food vendor, as a peanut vendor in particular, I have never seen such loyal and devoted fans. I mean, there
It's
are
crazy.
fans
Crazy.
that have been season ticket holders for, decades, and they keep coming back. And there was a long stretch. I know they're doing pretty well now, but there was a long stretch. We're talking over 20
Mm.
years that they couldn't even get above 500. They couldn't even get to 500, and so they were losing
Mhm,
all the
mhm.
time, and so it
Yeah.
gets very disheartening, but it was always great because opening day, they're back at it again, and they're all gung ho about the season. "Oh, we're gonna win a
Sure.
championship," and so,
Mhm.
you just almost became a believer because of the enthusiasm of the
Yeah.
fans.
Right.
"This is
Right?
our year. This is the year we're gonna," and so they would give me valid reasons why.
Mm. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I didn't always believe them,
But
but
yeah.
they were convincing. They loved their team
So
again, and that's how we feel
yeah.
about our Packers.
So
That's how I feel about the Brewers and the Bucks, but,
yeah.
in particular, the Packers.
Yeah, right. We're homers. One of the things
We
so,
are.
like I mentioned one of the things with the fans with the bags over their heads. No, you can't come back. If you're just gonna sit there and, be a big baby and you should just be like, "I'm gonna support him no matter what," right? So we just talked about that. But the other type of fan, which is, the worst, and they are Bear fans and Viking fans who are delusional, who are like certifiable, put them in a straitjacket where they'll come into every season and be like, "Yep, this is our year. This is what," and it isn't enthusiasm, it's delusion. It's like, "Wait a minute, Viking fans, you have no quarterback. You have literally a patchwork offensive line. Your defense is who in the hell's on there? Harrison Smith is, frankly on fucking crutches or whatever the hell he's on. He's only decent player, but he's I don't know what he's freaking old. He's gotta get off the damn field before he kills himself. So what would give you I get enthusiasm to come in, "Oh, we got some nice receivers," and you do. You have Justin Jefferson. He's by far, in my opinion, right now a step above Devontae Adams, but Devontae Adams cannot help it because he's in a crappy situation with the Raiders, and he needs to get out of there and go to the Jets. Yes, there's been talk about him going to the Jets. Please go to the Jets because at least then you can finish your career with your head held up high. Because you stay with the Raiders, Devontae, whatever. But it's the same thing too about Raiders fans. They're delusional. They go into every game. It's not enthusiasm, it's delusion. It's like, yep, we're gonna go in the playoffs, and then who knows? I'm like, no, you're not. It's not gonna happen unless the whole freaking world collapses, and that could happen. It just takes an injury here or there, and, you're right back in it, and any given Sunday, but I think there's 3 different types of fans. Fans like us, where we're just devoted, but we understand, which we'll talk here a little bit later about Jordan Love and stuff. We understand, got some issues. We better figure out the kicking thing. Like with the Packers, in my opinion, this whole kicking thing is getting out of hand. Like, just find a guy that can kick a field goal for crying out loud. How hard can that be? I mean, Jesus. I mean, come on. That your quarterback is hard. A field goal kicker, come on. Get some guy out of Australia and let him kick 60 yards. I don't give a crap. As long as he hits it between the pipes, I'm fine. But then, like I said, you got the bandwagon fans, the fans with the things, bags on their heads, and then you have the delusional fans who are like, "Yep, we're gonna make playoffs. Nope, JJ McCarthy's gonna show you why he won a national championship and why he's a great quarterback and why the Vikings took him." Eh, okay. You know what I'm saying, Andy? I mean, there's
Yeah,
just those fans where you can't I don't know what it is, and then, of course, you have the fanatics, which are just, they paint their faces and they wear their, helmets and spend, like, $700 on their clothes, going to the game, or they deck out their RV where it's just everything, Green Bay, and that's fine, but there comes a point where you're like, "Okay." You need to, like, pull back a little bit because fans like that, those are the guys who get on the radio after the game and be like, "Oh, god dang LaFleur, he doesn't know a football from a basketball, blah, blah, blah," and you're like, "What?" And I always laugh at those fans. I hear them every time I come back from Lambeau, and it's usually guys in their 70s are like, "Don't tell you when we could," and you're like, "Oh, dude, stop it." But that's just a tangent. I know we
yeah.
kinda got there,
Yeah,
but
but
it's
those fans with the bags on their head basically are disrespecting their team.
and that's
Um,
true. That's
what gets
very
me is even, it rarely happens at Lambeau, but, occasionally you might get some
mhm.
booing.
Oh, yeah. Right,
Support
you
your
will.
team
Yeah,
regardless, you
yeah,
know? So, I don't respect fans that do that. So,
yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta you're never out typically, you're never out of a game, you know? And so there was a playoff game Jacksonville played a couple years ago against, I
yeah.
think it was
Los Angeles Chargers,
yes,
right?
and
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
down by, like, I don't know, 35 points or whatever it was,
Yeah, it was
and they
like
came
something like
back and
that, yeah.
won.
They won the game?
So,
Yeah.
again, their fans could have been booing them because they sucked the first,
Mhm.
I think it was the first quarter and a half. But then,
You're right.
they started coming back. I think they scored a touchdown before halftime, and
Yeah.
then they were
Yeah.
able to rattle off, I think,
Right.
4 or 5 straight
Right.
scores
Mhm.
in the second half, and they came back and beat
Yeah.
them. And that's
Yeah.
why, Staley, the Chargers coach, should have been fired right after that game,
Yeah, a
and
long
wasn't.
time ago. Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't,
Yeah.
no.
So,
Mm.
yeah, again, we're off on a tangent,
Yeah,
but,
so let's get back on
is it
course here,
yeah.
and we're gonna
Let's just,
we're going to both Andy and I need some work done around our homes as well as we like to retire early. So I'm gonna write a letter to Jordan Love, Andy, say, "Hey, can you give me a couple $1,000,000 of your 220,000,000?"
we'll,
So
have
I
him
can break it down.
sponsor the show, right? Sponsor the show, the naming rights.
Oh, wouldn't that just be the well, that'd make my day.
Jordan loves
So
Packers Blitz. Yeah,
So let's break that down. Let's break the contract
yeah,
down.
I'm gonna sound old when I say this, but there's a freshly inked contract that was just signed a few days ago,
Funny.
by Jordan Love, and I believe that wasn't it on Friday, John, or was that
Friday,
Thursday?
yeah,
Okay, on
Friday.
Friday. Yeah, Tua also signed his,
Oh
I
god.
believe. I think
Good luck,
it
Miami
was
fans.
doesn't really matter whether it was before or after as well, so, we'll get
Good
to
luck,
that in a
Miami
second,
fans.
but, yeah, this contract is a big, fat contract. It's 4 years, $220,000,000.
Dollars. Holy crap.
So, and then, Jordan received the largest signing bonus ever, and this will probably
Mhm.
change, $75,000,000.
Yeah, it will
So,
change.
to put it in perspective, I think Tua, I could look it up on my phone, but I think he only got, I don't know, 55 to
50
60
or something,
million,
yeah,
somewhere
something like that,
somewhere in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So he got a $75,000,000 signing bonus, did, Jordan Love. So again, that's a new NFL record.
Woo!
So again, the contract, if you can do math in your head, 55 million per year, you know, it's only money.
Mm,
He has
only money.
$155 million guaranteed
Jesus.
money. So basically, It's the identical contract as far as the payout per year as the contract extension of Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. Both those players got exactly the same money at 5 years, $275 million. So they had 5 years though, not the 4 years. So again, on average, very, very similar to what Jordan Love got. And then most recently, Tua Tagovailoa just got 4 years, 212 million. So just a little bit less than Jordan did. So that's a
Mm,
lot of money. That's a lot
that's
of
a
money.
lot of
That's
meatballs.
a lot of meatballs. Uh, so Packers Blitz has some very interesting tidbits
Very
of
interesting.
information regarding the J-Love contract extension. So according to a post 3 days ago by Kyle Matzlahan, I don't even know how you pronounce
Sure.
that. Malzahn,
Mazihan.
I don't know, on X.
Amazing.
I
Amazing.
guess that used to be what, Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, Elon Musk. Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
New Packers starting running back Josh Jacobs spilled the beans on Love's new locker room moniker, and it's big money.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense.
that's what they're calling him now.
Mhm.
Some
Mhm.
people are now calling J Love's home Big Money Boulevard, similar to it was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood back in the day. So I think they're referring to,
Hilarious.
the home of the Packers, Green Bay and Lambeau
Yeah,
Field,
yeah.
right? So Big Money Boulevard, John.
Hilarious.
Yep. Speaking of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood and Mr. Rogers, the Jets' Aaron Rodgers even reached out to congratulate Jordan after the big contract news broke.
Mm.
So we're talking about the Jedi Master and his young Padawan, both NFL versions of The Apprentice, Rogers to Favre again, Love to Rogers, both holding clipboards on the sideline for 3 seasons before they each got their chance. The two exchanged some playful banter. Rogers spoke to NFL Network on Saturday, and this is what he said: I want to give a shout out to Jordan Love. Don't spend it all in one place. But if you do, I still have a house in Green Bay up for sale. End quote. J Love responded like a true protege and with a bit of humor himself. This is what he said: somebody will buy it, but probably not me. End quote. So I thought that was kind of funny, John. So I thought I'd put that in
Yeah,
there
I saw that.
regarding the
Yeah.
contract. It's those very interesting tidbits that you get on Packers Blitz. So in comparison, Love's rookie contract averaged $3.1 million a year from 2020 to 2023. Yeah, 3.1 million. Everybody out there, you're like 55 million. You're right. He's making
Wow, that's a big ring.
3.1 million a year pretty much. Now he got a little bit of a bonus, but that's all he was making
Yeah.
from 2020 to 2023. He got his deal reworked in 2023 to make a $13.5 million salary with almost a $9 million bonus in 2024. So pretty much this year he's making around, 20, 23 million, somewhere in there. So, and then I've got a couple sources. Basically, I think it might have been a typo, but I believe he's making $13.5 million this year. There was another one that said it was 10.5. It doesn't matter. It's not 55 million. So the Packers, because Love was going to hit free agency in 2025, unrestricted free agency, the Packers extended him, of course, to keep him for the 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028 seasons at $55 million per
Ooh, that's a
season
lot of
on
football.
average.
Phew.
This contract, of course, fluctuates based on salary cap considerations and performance bonuses, blah, 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 and is back ended
Mm.
like most sports contracts.
Yeah, they always do that.
Jay kind of, pushed it push to the end, right?
Or
You know,
should
keep
kick the can down
kick
the
the
road
can
there.
down the road, right? Exactly.
Mhm, mhm.
So basically, uh, J Love gambled on himself and his stellar play, and he won.
He
He
won,
won
yeah.
because he played so well, that, you know,
Mhm,
the last half of the season, 2/3 of the season, he got a big fat contract, and again, I'll ask John some questions in a little bit, you know, did he deserve it? You know, but the question is, did he have a choice? He had a choice, but did the Packers have a choice,
yeah,
right?
right, right,
At
right.
that point, he
Yeah,
wasn't showing
yeah.
up for training camp and for practices until the
Mm,
contract got, you know, offered and then signed, right?
mhm,
So the new contract, by the way, allows him to become an unrestricted free agent in 2029. Just to let everybody know, Trevor Lawrence, I believe, has a no trade clause.
mm,
Tua does not. He is also a free agent in 2029. But
interesting.
again, I saw no mention of no trade clause. So yeah, that gives the Packers a little bit of flexibility. Not that they would want to move off
Mhm,
of him, but I didn't see one. So I thought that was kind
mhm,
of interesting. Very interesting,
mhm.
right, John?
Yeah,
So John,
very interesting.
Do you have anything to add about the contract?
Yeah,
Anything I might have screwed up on when I was talking
no,
some of the
no, you got
numbers?
everything right here.
Okay.
So here are two things to keep in mind, Packer fans. The dead cap money this year is $46.5 million. So we're still getting kicked in the ass from Rodgers and Bakhtiari, okay? So just remember that, Packer, fans and Packer Blitz fans. We're still under it. So a lot of you might go, "Well, wait a minute. So that means we can't get another player?" No, unless it's somebody really cheap that we can somehow sucker in to take a small contract, which, as we know, Gutekunst is really good at. I mean, think of the guys we've brought in on the cheap who have helped out, which my favorite was Rasul Douglas, which why we traded still doesn't make uh, I don't know if that makes any sense to you, Andy. That makes no sense to me why we
Nope.
changed Rousseau Douglas. But we got him on the cheap, and then we paid him. We got your guy, Keeson Nixon, on the cheap, then we paid him. So he's really good at that. So I'm not worried about that. But here's the thing, and this wasn't really big news, is in we know Mark Murphy is going to retire in 2025 in July, so their new CEO is Edward R. Policy, and if you're going like, "Where do I know that name from?" If you are a true football fan, where do I know that name from?
I know where
Oh,
that's from.
where is he from? Who's his dad? You should know who his dad is. He was famous he was famous for one football team in the '80s that won a lot.
Yeah, because of Joe
And who was
Montana and
that?
everybody else, right?
Yes. Yep. Carmen Policy,
You're right.
right?
San
That's
Francisco
San
49.
Francisco 49.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how would you like to be him? Be like, "Okay, Ed, here's all your dead cat money. Here's everyone hated me, and you have a quarterback with a huge contract that better not screw up. See ya." I just started laughing at that. That's just like, going into you're buying a house and someone goes, "Okay, well, your house is this is a really nice house. I think I'm gonna buy it. I'll take it over the stuff. Oh, by the way, just want to let you know there's some cockroaches in the basement. You gotta take care of that. Oh, there's a hole in one of the walls here. I don't know where. And not sure about the roof. It's gonna probably need replacing. Bye." Like, wait a minute. What? So I just laughed at that, and I'm not sure if good old Ed Policy, if he had anything to say with this. So I just wanted to bring that up because that new CEO that is coming in now, he is the wall. He is up against it, because you have to win now. You have that 5-year window. The 5 years, you got to win. You got to win at least one Super Bowl. or this was a complete failure, in my opinion. Now, you can argue that all you want, but in my opinion, you don't win one Super Bowl with Jordan Love. Yikes. Something went wrong. Something didn't go over. But let's get to your question. Do you think this is a good contract for J Love and the Packers organization moving forward? I'm saying it is a necessary contract because you can't win any. You just can't. If you have a established quarterback, okay, you hold on to him like grim death, okay? And one of your questions we'll get to a little bit later here, but look at Trevor Lawrence, okay? Jacksonville never really had a quarterback. Argue Trevor Lawrence. We'll talk about that. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Oh, they finally got a quarterback. Okay, we'll talk about that. But any quarterbacks you look around the NFL, why do you think Kirk Cousins, they keep paying him over and over and over? Remember, Kirk Cousins got a 1-year guarantee of $89 million just given to him. They just, here you go, here's the check, and gave him 89 million bucks for 1 year. Okay. And in that year, he played well. Vikings didn't do anything as usual because they're a plastic franchise. Sorry, Viking fans, but you are, and you should know that unless you're delusional, like we talked about earlier, or you put a bag over your head. But if you're a fan like Andy and I, you're like, "Ugh," right? So it was a necessary contract, Andy. We have no backup. We have no one coming up the ranks. We can't draft a quarterback now. And if you say, yeah, we can. Well, not if we're playing well, because you're not going to get a star quarterback in the late half of the first round with I'm sure you can say, well, we got Aaron Rodgers, but did anybody realize that Aaron Rodgers would be Aaron Rodgers? Nobody. Everybody was like, he's good. I think he'll be a good quarterback. No one saw that coming, including me. When they took Aaron Rodgers when Brett Favre was here, I was like, huh? Like, who is this guy? And he's a Hall of Famer now. He was an incredible quarterback. He's my guy. So again, we had to do this, Andy. There were no what can you do, right? Your hands are tied. Eh, What do
Yeah,
you
and
think?
it seems like they don't have a definite backup right now
No,
because
they
didn't
don't.
they just signed another quarterback. I think his name's
Yeah,
Jacob
some
Eason?
Easton. Yeah,
Yeah.
some dud. That guy ain't gonna do crap.
No,
He'll be
okay.
cut.
But it
He's not
just
gonna do
goes to show they're loading up the quarterback room to try to motivate the other guys to,
I guess.
I guess, I don't know.
Guess. I don't know. So,
Yep.
first question, was it a good contract? I'll tell you 5 years from now, but it was necessary. We had to do it. So, second question.
Do you have any reservations, any, over such a large
Mm,
contract with a very small sample size of production to go off of?
absolutely. And I'll play devil's advocate here. Okay, so the Packers way, which Atlanta's doing right now with Penance or whatever that guy is out of Washington they drafted.
Penix.
When they Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Andy. When they drafted him, the GM came up to the mic and said, we're doing exactly the Packer way. We're gonna have Kirk Cousins here 2, 3 years, and then he's coming in. We're doing the Packer way. Problem with the Packer way is this: when you've been sitting on the bench for 3 years, the rookie contract, I believe, is 4 years, 5 years that you gotta start basically shelling out the money. So, in that unfortunate situation, you have this guy sitting there and he's like, does garbage time, okay, looks okay. And then you put him out there, you're like, oh, he looks pretty good. Too bad. The problem with it is now everyone has film on him. They have an entire season. The defenses can say, okay, when he goes to his left, he does this. When he goes to his right, he does this. Do we like to keep him under center? Now, in the playoff game against the 14 Winers, but
Playoffs?
playoffs, in the playoff game, Andy and I, after that game, we're just losing our minds because what did Jordan Love try to do? 2 much. We we could have got into field goal range, even though I know we got Carlson, whatever the hell his name is. Cut That's like, as I like to call him, cut him, Carlson, whatever his name is.
Andrew
Uh,
Carlson, yeah.
Thank you. And anyway, yeah, it's not important to remember. Anyway, he was trying too hard. And what was he doing? Just threw that sucker up. Who, oh, by the way, it reminds us, oh yeah, Brett Favre used to do stuff like that.
A lot.
Now, Brett Favre's a Hall of Famer. He's your guy. I love him to death too. But he cost us games. In the 2007 NFC Championship game, if you go back and look, there were 3 other people wide open to catch that ball, and what did Favre do? Threw it to Driver when there was a corner, I believe, covering him, or, it was just dumb. He was just trying too hard. He was trying to force it in there, and that is what you're going to see with defenses now. They're gonna say, "Oh, okay, well, we're gonna force Jordan Love to win this game." Now, this is where you hope Jordan Love takes the next step. When he says, "Oh, I'm not gonna force it. I'm going to manage it." And you go like, "Well, wait a minute. You don't want him to manage it because then it's too late. You gotta take a chance. You gotta get that ball downfield, get in the field goal range. You can't be like handing the ball off on a draw play or trying to slip screen or whatever." Yeah, so yeah, I just think what they have to do is know that if I was Matt LaFleur, I would have come to after he signed the contract and be, "Look, you don't have to be Superman. You don't have to be that guy." And that's what Jordan Love brought up, I think last year or in the offseason, maybe. He said, he "I don't have to be Superman. I got people around me who can help me to get the ball down the field and make sure." So with that sample size, you gotta remember, this isn't the first time this has happened, okay? There have been quarterbacks. I like to use, like,
Carson
Kirk
Wentz.
Cousins, Carson Wentz,
Yep.
very Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, 2 Eagle quarterbacks. You talk to Eagle fans, they're like, "Oh, shit, yeah, nah, yeah, okay." And the other, Tim Tebow, is small sample size, and they paid him whatever. But the other thing we remember our history, and, I'm a big history guy, is after coming off the 6-10 season, they gave Aaron Rodgers, I believe, like $58 million that they extended him, and you're like, "Are you insane?" He went 6-10, and he was throwing the ball wherever the hell he was trying to throw it, but they extended him. Did it work out? Of course it worked out. We do have a Super Bowl. Should have had more, we can argue that, but so again, this is the way the NFL is. I'm sure we could go if we really wanted to, we could go and be, "Hey, that guy had a good year." Well, the other guy, not DeAndre Hopkins. What was the linebacker that we had that played really well that one year? He's with San Francisco. No, he whined before he went out, and I can't remember his name offhand right now. But he had a
Neither can
really
I 'cause we're
solid,
old.
yeah, he had a really it
It'll
doesn't
come to me.
matter because yeah, he had a really solid year because we got him off the trash heap of Atlanta. He came in and really played well. I'm like, "Wow." Then we gave him the money and he just disappeared. Now, again, that's a different position because, again, that's a more physical position. That's a more position where you're on the field a little bit more, per se. With a quarterback, even though that's a very I always say this, and you always hear this every time from announcers, it's so cliche, is that quarterbacks either one get too much blame or they get too much credit. And then,
Andre Campbell, John.
Devondre Campbell, thank you. So I look at a guy like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, to me, if I put side to side Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, I am taking Jordan Love every day of the week because Brock Purdy to me is a one-man trick pony that eventually it's going to catch up to him once he starts losing talent off that 49er team. People get some key injuries. You see him. He's just not that guy. He just doesn't have it. And that's one thing we talked about in several episodes, from here, earlier episodes, is it. And Andy and I both argued Jordan Love didn't have it
It.
yet, right?
Yep.
Brett Favre had it. Aaron Rodgers had it.
It.
And he's right, and just had that. Brett Favre was, I'm about football and I'm gonna smash in the face. I got a broken leg. I'm gonna hobble, for a first down. Aaron
You saw
Rodgers,
but
not
John,
that wa
you saw J Love in that Dallas game, and he
yeah,
was it, you know, that whole
exactly.
game. So that's
Right.
where you're kinda like, "Oh, I see it now."
Right. Right.
Right.
Right. But in the 49er game, he had it for a little while. Now you can
Yeah.
blame the defense for letting Brock Purdy go down the field on him when they knew all they had to do was stop a first down, or at least one first down, and we win that game. So is that Jordan Love? Absolutely not. But it's on Jordan Love for him in the final seconds of that game forcing the ball. So
So I'll ask
I
you
do
I'll segue
yeah,
into the question then,
yeah,
John, and
yeah.
sorry to cut you off. Who would you
No, go
rather
ahead.
have? Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow,
Uh,
Tua Tagovailoa, or Jordan Love? And then how would you rank them? So if you wanted a
yeah,
quarterback to
wow,
lead
that's
your
a good question.
franchise for the next 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
who would you pick, and then how would you rank them? And for me, it was
yeah.
really, really easy. So I'll let
Okay,
you
good.
do it first, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I already know what
So
mine are.
if you're saying if we're saying everything's equal, okay,
Yeah,
like,
that's what we were talking about with the
e
contracts because
everything's equal,
it's
okay?
been the next
So
man up. That was one of my other questions. It's
so
been the next man up
he
mentality. Just pay the
yeah.
guys whatever the market value is. It doesn't matter who he is even. I mean, they wanna pay Dak Prescott over $60,000,000 a year. He is not the best quarterback in the
You
NFL.
go ahead and do
He's
that,
not
Cowboy
even in
fan.
the top
You go
10,
do that.
John.
No, he isn't.
And
He
so
is
I
not.
don't get it. And yes, there's going to be suitors lined
So
up for him, New York Giants. They're going to be lining up
okay.
for him when he reaches free agency at the end of the year. Tennessee Titans might be interested in him.
Oh, Titans,
Oakland
Giants,
Raiders.
Raiders,
Or sorry, not Oakland
uh,
Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders.
Las
So,
Vegas Raiders. I
okay,
know
so
we all
sorry to
the
cut
old
you off,
school.
John.
No,
I'm
so
really interested to
here's
hear
the
what you have to say about
here's the thing,
how you'd
and
rank.
and you get and here's the thing. I love Burrow, but look at his receiving core. I mean, holy crap. I mean, they by far, in my opinion, is one of the best out there. They're top 3, top 5, okay? So, I like Burrow, but he doesn't have okay, he has the arm, he has the smart. He doesn't seem to escape ability that I would like. So, I'm not too high as Burrows, maybe other people are.
He gets hurt all the
Tua
time, John. Gets hurt
well,
all
like I
the
said,
time, just like
we're just doing it equal. We're just doing it equal.
okay.
Everybody is shiny, golden.
Oh,
We're all
perfect.
everybody's yeah,
Not
we're
gonna get
perfect.
hurt?
We're
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well, not perfect getting hurt. We're just starting out as a level playing field,
Okay,
okay? Like everyone's
okay,
just starting out clean and shiny, right?
okay.
So Tua, absolutely not. Tua is you remember, Tua just finds a way, and I watched Hard Knocks, okay, and this gave me a pretty good insight into Tua. He doesn't have the leadership. He doesn't have he's like he's still back in college. When I watched him at Hard Knocks, he's like he's still back in college. Like, he's still is athletic, and yeah, he's a pretty decent arm, and if you talk to my Dolphin fan friends, they can't stand him. They're like, "No, why is he there? He
Why'd
would
they
take
give him
Jordan Love,"
$212,000,000?
right? So, they're whining about but with Jordan they would take Jordan Love in a second. Now, Trevor Lawrence, to me, is interesting because he's done a lot with really nothing. They've been giving him some talent recently, but he's done, in my opinion, a little bit more with less because he's never really had a steady coach until now. He's never really had steady offensive coordinators. he's in a market that, people like Jacksonville, but it's, if you miss a Jacksonville game, nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, you missed the game. Oh, what?" Yeah, no big deal, right? So he's doing what he's doing there, I think is really good. But out of all this is, again, it just comes down to me what I've seen Jordan Love, in this small sample size is better than all these players for the sole reason of, again, he's coming to a situation he can't win because he has 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in front of him that he's gotta live up to. Oh, by the way, good luck with that. He's had a kind of a makeshift offensive line that Andy and I have spoken about. They've switched guys around and put guys around there. His offensive plays have not been called, sometimes not that great. They didn't really get offensive play calling that, should be some of the coordinators, in my opinion. And really with his receiving core, it's been Christian Watson's been his guy, but Christian Watson is not in there, and I don't think he's gonna make an entire year this year, and he's had to deal with rookie. Like, people don't understand. Musgrave was a rookie, and he was blasting people. When he went down, then he had to deal with, who do I got? Another rookie, you know what I'm saying? So, Tua has been giving weapons. Look at the weapons he has. Holy crap. Waddle, the cheetah dude, you know. I mean, come on. He's got weapons
Every kill.
up the wazoo. Burrow has that established receiving core. And Trevor Lawrence, yeah, that's where I kind of waver a little bit because he's kind of like Jordan Love. He's kind of had to deal with less and kind of make something out of nothing to try. But for the next 4 or 5 years, I'm going with Love. I just, even though it's a small sample size, I've seen him do things that I really, really like, especially the playoff game against Dallas, the second game against Detroit where he got the first game, we got the crap kicked out of us. The Minnesota New Year's Eve game where he just totally annihilated them. I mean, he just Tua, Burrow, and Lawrence don't really have that game where they just annihilated somebody. They've come back. They've had nice comebacks, and they've had some nice plays here and there, and nice games, but they haven't just stepped on someone's throat like we did to the Cowboys and just stepped on their throat and said, "Oh, you scored? Okay, we'll score. Oh, you scored again? Fine, we're scoring again." Like, how do we stop this guy? So that's my opinion. And ranking them, I would go Love, Burrow, Lawrence, Tua. That's who I'd rank. So there you go.
My rankings are exactly the same as yours, John.
Yeah.
But but if I
Well, here we go.
had a healthy Joe Burrow, he has
Mhm.
proven that he can beat Mahomes and the Chiefs,
Yes,
and he does
and
step up at
that's true.
big moments and in
That's
big
true.
games, and you can't overvalue that. That was the biggest problem again with Rodgers, is that in the biggest games, especially
Yeah,
toward the end of his time here in Green Bay,
yeah.
he didn't step up when he had to. He didn't play his best, and
No.
Joe Burrow has. So,
Yeah.
if I had a healthy Joe Burrow, I would put him
Mhm.
first and Love
I see
second.
why. I see why.
But
Yeah.
the way it is right now, he
No.
had a really weird injury with his wrist,
Yes.
and so, again, is he gonna come back from that? He's had knee issues, he's had this and that.
Musician.
Uh,
Yes.
so again, he's, injury prone, and,
Yeah.
he's a little bit smaller guy than,
Yes.
J-Love is. That
Right.
matters. Trevor Lawrence,
Yeah.
big dude. I think he's like 6'5" or whatever.
Yeah.
You got Josh Allen, big dude, does not get hurt. So,
Yeah.
again, you gotta be present, you gotta play, and
Mhm.
there's value in that. So, Joe
Absolutely.
Burrow has probably spent, what, half his career, a good third of it,
Yeah.
not playing.
Injured. Injured, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, if anything else, I'll go on some finish this up with some
Yeah,
music. Oh.
I was gonna ask a question about the next man up mentality,
Oh, yeah, go
with
ahead.
paying quarterbacks. I just don't personally, I don't believe in that because I think your value
Uh,
is what you
I
have,
know.
you know. So
Hmm.
all these quarterbacks are paid pretty much exactly the same, and I don't get
Yeah.
it. And again,
Yeah, I
for
don't
them
get
to
that
even be
either.
considering paying Dak Prescott
Yeah.
$60 million,
Oh, no
I don't know
way.
where
You
Dak
can't. You
Prescott gets
can't.
off with this either.
You can't.
He doesn't have any, I don't think there's any state taxes in Texas on that money. So why can't he take a little bit less and pay some of the players like CeeDee Lamb and
Yeah,
Micah
I don't know.
Parsons and
I don't know.
whatnot? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't understand what Jerry Jones is doing. Um,
Nobody understands what Jerry Jones is
exactly.
doing.
He just likes being the center of
Ah,
attention,
yes,
and he
he's the
wants to
center of
just drag
attention.
this out to, get
Yep,
more media attention,
right.
whatever.
Yep,
He's gonna end up having to pay him, and if he
yeah,
doesn't,
and
they don't have anybody waiting in the wings,
yeah,
so to
right.
speak. So,
And here's the thing, if they fire Mike McCarthy after this
what do
season,
you mean if?
and
When they do.
when they do, okay, w you think Bill Belichick is gonna, like, wanna come and take over that organization? Are you crazy? Why would he? But he could. He could be just like, "Ah, I gotta get away from my 23-year-old girlfriend," or what the hell he's with now. Crazy stuff. But why would you? See, Dallas to me, and we'll just not get too much. Dallas to me is no longer the crown jewel it used to be. I mean, if I had a choice, if I, between Green Bay and Dallas, and not because I'm a homer, I'm going to Green Bay because one, I don't have a crazy owner bugging me. Two, I got fans that are going to support me even if I suck. And I got a whole organization who's going to go like, yes, we need draft and develop. We need a quarterback. Okay, great. I love that. One of the things I'm watching right now on HBO Max too, which is really nice, is they have the Giants off season and they show behind the scenes how the front office works. Thank God I'm not a general manager. That's all I have to say, Andy. That job sucks. I mean, just what these guys go through. I've seen them go through and talk about, and they're talking about Daniel Jones. Well, we'll keep Daniel Jones. We'll see how it goes. And I was just laughing. Daniel Jones sucks. Why can't they understand they got to go out and get, well, Dak Prescott, because he could immediately lift that organization up. Maybe not to where they want to go, but Daniel Jones is not the answer. So I think it's really interesting the way people view their quarterback situation and how we view it. It's kind of a night and day philosophy. Like we put a large emphasis behind it and sacrifice a lot of our future to get the right guy. It has worked out, knock on wood, so far. While other organizations go, we'll get by. We'll be fine. Ask the Bears about getting by. Right? How has that worked out? Let's just put a guy in there. How's that worked out, Bears fans? Yeah.
Not
So,
well.
anyway.
Yeah, well, again, the Packers are all about stability. They're well
And
run.
that's
Why
why they
wouldn't
win.
Why wouldn't players wanna come here? There's not utter chaos and a lack of
Yeah, it's
focus like
boring.
Dallas
Yeah,
has. Dallas is
yeah,
not focused on winning a Super Bowl. I don't care what Jerry Jones
no,
says. I heard
no.
some stories that they have tours going through the Cowboy facilities, like the players are working out, and they're seeing groups of people going through.
Mhm,
Seriously?
mhm.
That
Yeah,
that
right.
is not being focused on winning
Yeah,
football
yeah,
games and focused on
yeah,
winning a Super Bowl.
yeah,
Sorry,
right,
Jerry, it's not.
yeah, right. Alright, so let's get to some Packers news and notes here while we're wrapping up here. Kenny Clark got his extension. I think it's deserved. The guy has been a Packer, you know, blue, green, and gold true. I think he still has gas left in the tank. We'll see how much gas is left in the tank. I think he's got a couple years of some gas left in that tank. But he's a veteran presence, and we need it because my boy Carl Brooks, he's gonna, he needs to shine, man.
Gonna
This is
take
his
off.
year.
This
He's
is
got to
your
take off, and Kenny Clark can help him. Family night is coming up. By the way, if you've never been to family night, listen to this podcast, I highly recommend going. It's really fun. The tickets are fairly reasonable. Parking's fairly reasonable.
Yeah,
You sometimes you
I think they ran out of parking, John. I think all the parking near the
okay,
stadium is
yeah. And
and I think there's I think it's sold out.
yes,
So,
it always sells out.
yeah. But,
And
yeah, I'm
and
sure
this
you can
is
get tickets somehow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And just know this is your Packer fans, this is your only chance without you being arrested and thrown into jail for you to basically lean over the barricades and say, "Hey, Jordan Love," and no one will arrest you. You do that during a regular game, and Brown County sheriffs are going to beat you with their nightsticks. So
They
just
get
have fun with
tased,
that.
Packers fans getting
Yeah,
tased.
they're going to tase you. And here's my favorite part. Thank you, Andy, for putting this in here because I was like so worried you weren't. The biggest competition in camp, kickers Andis Carlson, Miss whatever his name is, versus Greg Joseph. Both kickers are 16 for 18 after 6 practices and 3 days of kicking. Nobody cares. Why can't we find a kicker? It's ridiculous.
Yep.
In fact, when I played Madden football, guess what? Carlson misses kicks in there too. Yeah. So can't freaking oh that guy. Anyway, let's get on to training camp so far. I love this. Halfley's defense is smoking. Now, that's always the case. Defense is always ahead of the offense, but there are reports coming out like they're nasty. Like these guys, they're showing some, yeah, and there's some hype videos and stuff I was watching. And what I love is some of these rookies are going at it pretty well. Xavier McKinney, the guy we picked up from the Giants, he's a stud. These rookies are playing pretty well. There's been some good hitting, some good physical contact. And one of the biggest things is, take it with a grain of salt because really everybody I remember what was it? I can't remember the defensive doesn't matter, defensive lineman that we had in camp. He was, "Oh, he's playing really well." And there was this defense, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And everybody was just going to buzz, "Blah, he's gonna be great." And then he got cut. So, just take it with a grain of salt. Jair Alexander looks like he wants to play football, which he's my boy. I love him. He's hustling, he's leading, he's running around the field. Him and Xavier McKinney are fast friends. And so the defense is way ahead. They got a good pass rush going, really nice. They've just been in pads just a little bit. Nothing really out of the ordinary other than, again, the rookies are playing pretty well, but that's, that happens. Like, one thing brought up, I will skip ahead a little bit here. They brought up with Javon Bullard and Evan Williams saying, "Hey, really like what they're doing." By the way, if Bullard can play, Javon Bullard can play like he played in college. Wow, he's going to be a hell of a safety. The seventh round pick, Kalen King, uh, Packers Blitz favorite, had a pick six against Jay Love on Sunday. He might be one of those guys that, hey, can make it, because we've had some pretty good luck with seventh round guys, Donald Driver for once, Mark Tauscher, Corey Valentine. I always get them both confused. I believe it's Valentine.
It's
I believe he
both.
was a seventh
There's
round
there's 2
pick.
of them. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. One of the guys was a seventh round pick. I always
The
mix
other
them
one's
up.
like a 5th
Uh,
round, yeah.
yeah, so and they both made the team. That's great. It doesn't matter where you're picked as long as you can play. I don't give a crap. Picked in the seventh, picked in the first, as long as you can play and help us win, good for you. So again, that's really good that this is happening. Going from there. Also, they talked about first round pick Jordan Morgan. He's been playing mostly guard during camp. Kind of interesting. The lineman is starting to feel more comfortable inside. However, he has talent to move outside if need be. Morgan has shown great feet and ability to get big as a blocker to absorb the rush. So, yeah, some good things there. Andy, you were going to talk about a quote from LaFleur I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, LaFleur confirmed the entire team is staying at a hotel during training camp, same as last year. Same as last year. He said, going through something miserable together brings you closer.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers hated this. He absolutely despised it, and he used to say it all the time on the radio shows. No one it's Aaron Rodgers, so you can't tell him to shut up. But he said that, I'm not gonna name names, but there were some guys that snuck out a couple times here and there to go home and sleep in their own beds. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me why you would have these guys do this other than, I don't know, bring them together, so you can go like Andy and I were talking about the dorms last night, and we were kinda saying, kind of dorms were kind of fun. You kind of get to know some guys. You get to we became Andy and I became fast friends, which I love Andy like a brother. So that's so awesome that I got to meet Andy in the dorms. Hey, maybe you get that lucky. Maybe some guys, bond and the team bonds, and that's what you need, right? I don't know. I think it's a little silly, but if it works, it works. So awesome. Anything else, Andy, before we close up shop?
Yeah, just before we leave tonight, I just wanted to apologize again for mentioning that the Milwaukee Brewers were the Pittsburgh Pilots. I was trying to say, I think Pittsburgh Pirates. I was in Pittsburgh this past weekend, so that's probably why I have a speech impediment tonight, but it was the Seattle Pilots that moved to Milwaukee from
There we go.
Seattle in 19, I believe, 70. I would have been 2 years old at the time.
2 years old.
So
That's your bar trivia question.
yeah, and I did wanna mention, like, in Pittsburgh, like, it's all black and basically yellow because they're all their teams, they've got the,
Now the team.
Pirates, they've got the Pittsburgh Penguins, the hockey team, and then they
Yep.
have the Pittsburgh Steelers all there, and so I'm kinda sick of yellow and black after being there this
Ugh.
weekend, but,
Okay.
great city, great, you know, lot it's just a lot of fun. A lot of sights to see. It's a very
Yeah.
interesting city, a lot of great people that we met,
Awesome.
and, yeah, a lot of fun. Got to go to PNC Park where the Pirates play, so that's probably why
Nice.
I mentioned the Pittsburgh Pilots, which are, again, the Seattle Pilots, not the Pittsburgh Pilots, so
Pittsburgh Brewers. Speaking of that, Andy and I will be working on our hopefully our preview show here coming up soon. Andy and I are still in discussions when we'd like to do that. Kind of go through preview the season like we did last year, do our Super Bowl picks, early Super Bowl picks, kind of discussions on certain things about I just think this is gonna be a very interesting season. By the way, yes, there's pretty much sold on going to 18 game season, which, okay, I love football. Don't get me wrong. More football is awesome, but wow, you get to 18 games, man. That's going to wear down a lot of players and staff and everybody to get to the Super Bowl. So we'll see if that ever happens. But other than that, Andy and I were well, like I said, we'll have the show coming up, and then before you know it, it's gonna be, preseason and the regular season, so we're really excited about that and really excited about having Jordan Love, here in the fold for the next few
yep,
years,
excited
having
about it.
Kenny Clark in, having some really exciting defense, hopefully. We'll see how that goes because that's still a thing on paper, but all in all, I'm pretty much pleased with the Packer offseason. Not a lot of distractions, not Andy and I having to get on here every 5 seconds and talk about Aaron Rodgers saying this, Aaron Rodgers saying that, Aaron Rodgers doing this, Aaron Rodgers doing that. So that was really nice. It's quiet. We like it. We're 2 old dudes. We like quiet.
Then
So again
one more thing, John, before we
go
leave.
ahead. Yeah.
I better do this before we leave. It's my
Yeah.
wife's and I 30th wedding anniversary coming up, so I wanted to
Yay!
celebrate my wife, Suzanne Michelle, for putting up with me for 30 glorious,
Jeez,
probably long years for her.
give her a medal.
So, exactly. So,
Woof.
yeah, we're
I
continuing
put
our
up with
30
you.
days of love, not Jordan love.
Aw.
So that's why we
Well,
were in
tell Jordan
Pittsburgh.
Love to give you some money. That would be love. Come on, Jordan. We know you're
I know.
listening.
Yes, it's gonna be Jordan Love's Packers Blitz.
Give us $1,000,000.
Right.
Sponsor this sucker. We're gone,
You might
man. We
settle
love
for
it.
like
Okay.
750K.
Hey, we'll
We'll
bargain. We'll
negotiate a little
negotiate.
bit with
Yeah,
you,
we'll
Jordan.
negotiate. Come on, we're not. We'll figure it out. So anyway, please like and subscribe wherever you listen to Packers Blitz, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you guys listen to us. Also, remember, we're just ramping up the Packers season. So if any questions you guys have, ask Andy. And that's at PackersBlitz80@gmail.com. That's always, I will put in the episode notes. And we'll end it where we always do. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack, go.
All right, love you, buddy. Talk to you later.